The last target for KC7 is putting everything together that we have already learned about exponential functions and what we already know about linear functions. All right, so linear functions, remember, let me use my pen here. So linear functions are graphs that form a straight line. Okay, they can go either up or down, right? They can go up or down. Okay, and the equation that we use for this is y equals mx plus b. And again, we discussed that m is slope. All right, and we also discussed that b is your y-intercept. All right, exponential function is what we have been talking about throughout the whole KC7. Exponential graphs are curve. Okay, so they can go up, but it forms like a little U shape, or it could go down. So again, it could go up or it could go down, but it makes this U shape. And the equation for this is going to be y equals b times m to the x power. Same thing, we know about m. M is still the y-intercept. Okay, and m is still the same thing. Okay, slope. The difference between exponential and linear is since we both use y-intercept and slope, the difference is that for linear functions, the slope can either add or subtract. The y-intercept we know is the starting point. Okay, what's different is the slope because again, linear is add or subtract, and for exponential, the slope is actually multiplying. Okay, for exponentials, it can only be multiplication, only. Okay, for linear, again, it could be add or subtracting. For exponential, it can only be multiplication. And we're going to be seeing division, okay? So multiplication and division. I'll talk about it in a little bit once we get into the problems. But that's the difference you need to understand because we're going to look at problems and we're going to either write the linear function or the exponential function. So please be careful with those, okay? Linear functions, exponentials have the same values, slope and y-intercept, but the slopes are different. And that's what's going to help you determine if it's going to be a linear function or exponential function. If you're adding or subtracting numbers, then it's a linear. If you're doing multiplication on the numbers or you're going to be dividing, then you're going to be doing exponential functions. So that's the key thing that we have to remember. So let's practice. Question number 1, it says identify whether the tables below represent a linear function or exponential function and justify your answer with a written explanation. Okay, so you are always going to be looking at the numbers of f of x, always. Okay, don't even pay attention to the x right now. Between those numbers, and again, some of you guys get confused when you guys look at tables like this. Just look at it as a number line: 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Okay, and basically the question is what is happening from 4 to 6, from 6 to 8, from 8 to 10, from 10 to 12? Am I going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? Okay, here's your hint, if your numbers are increasing, so as you can say they're going up, your two options could be either adding or multiplying. When numbers increase, okay, when they go up, your two options, you either are adding or multiplying. Okay, let's see. 4 times what gives me 6? If I do 4 times 1, I get 4. But if I do 4 times 2, I get 8. And I don't have 8 as my next number. I have 6. So it's not going to be multiplication for this one. 4 plus what gives me 6? So 4 plus 2 gives me 6. 6 plus 2 gives me 8. 8 plus 2 gives me 10. 10 plus 2 gives me 12. Okay, so the answer for this is going to be linear. Okay, this is a linear function. Why? Because I am adding 2 every time. And I told you that when you're adding, you're doing linear. Okay, let's try the next one again. We're looking at the numbers of f of x because are your y numbers. Okay, so again, you're looking at the numbers 16, 8, 4, 2, and 1. So I'm going to put them in order just like I did because again, some of you guys get confused by looking at these numbers in a table like this. All right, so from 16, okay, to 8, what's happening? From 8 to 4, what's happening? From 4 to 2, what's happening? From 2 to 1, what's happening? That's what I'm questioning. All right, I told you that if your numbers increases, then you're adding or multiplying. But if your numbers are decreasing, so let me put it over here. Numbers are decreasing, which means going down. You are either subtracting or dividing. Okay? Well, let's look at this. 16, okay, if I subtract, okay, what you're going to do is do 16 minus 8 so I could find the difference. 16 minus 8 is going to give me 8. That means I'm subtracting 8. 8, okay, so if that is the number that I'm doing for the first ones, then that means I have to do the same for the other ones. 8 minus 8 has to give me 4. Well, we know that 8 minus 8 gives me 0. So I know that I'm not going to be subtracting. So it's not subtracting this one. We're going to have to divide by. We have to identify what are we going to divide by. 16 divided by, okay, divided by 2 gives me 8. So that's what I have. That means I'm going to be dividing by 2. Let's see. 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. So that's good. 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. So that's good. And 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. So there you go. I'm going to be dividing by 2 in this one. Okay. So I'm dividing by 2. In all of these, I'm dividing by 2. Dividing by 2. Dividing by 2. Because I'm dividing, and I told you that for exponentials, we only use multiplication. Okay, we're going to have to convert the division. We cannot have a division. It has to be a multiplication. It's really easy. If you're dividing by 2, just add the 1 on top, and we're going to switch it to a fraction. Instead of dividing by 2, we're going to add the 1 on top. That's it. So this is the number that I'm multiplying by. So again, my answer for this is exponential. Why? Because I am multiplying by 1/2. Again, I divided, which helped me figure out my answer, but I cannot have exponentials with a division. I have to switch it to a multiplication. How do you switch it? Do the opposite. The inverse of 2, which is a whole number, is 1/2. Again, dividing is a fraction symbol by 2. 2 goes on the bottom. All you have to do is add the 1 on top. That's it. All right. So how about you guys practice the next problems? All right. I will be giving the answers in few minutes. All right. Again, you're only looking at the numbers of f of x. 1 to the second number, I have to get 2. So again, I see that my numbers are going up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I'm either adding or multiplying. 1 plus 1 gives me 2, plus 1 gives me 3, plus 1 gives me 4, plus 1 gives me 5. So this one is linear because I'm adding by 1. Okay, the next one, I notice that my numbers are going down. 15, 12, 9, 6, 3. They're going down. All right, so for this one, I'm either subtracting or dividing. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 15 minus 12 to see if that's the number. If I subtract 15 minus 12, it's going to be 3. I'm going to be subtracting 15 minus 3 gives me 12. 12 minus 3 gives me 9. 9 minus 3 gives me 6. 6 minus 3 gives me 3. So this one is linear because subtracting by 3. Okay, the next one. Again, we're looking at the numbers of f of x. 81, 27, 9, 3, and 1. The numbers are going down. So I'm either going to be subtracting or dividing. Again, let's try subtracting. To figure out what's the number that we're going to be subtracting, I subtract the first two numbers. That gives me 54. 81 minus 54 gives me 27. Let's try the next one. I have to get 9. 27 minus 54. That is going to give me a negative number. So I am not going to be subtracting. This doesn't work. Okay? That means that the other option I have is dividing. What am I going to be dividing by? Okay, and I usually just start with a number 2. If it works with a number 2, then I got the answer. But if not, I keep going with number 3, number 4, and so on. So for example, 81 divided by 2 gives me 40. That didn't work. 81 divided by 3 gives me 27. So I'm dividing by 3 because it gave me 27. Let's keep trying. It has to match all the numbers. 27 divided by 3 gives me 9. Good. 9 divided by 3 gives me 3. And 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. So my answer for this exponential. And remember, when you are dividing, we switch it to a fraction. Division is the sign of fraction. What are we dividing by? 3. 3 goes on top. All I have to do is add 1 on top. So this is exponential because multiplication of 1/3. Okay, we are not doing the dividing numbers, so please be careful. We have to switch it to a fraction if we're dividing. Keep that in mind. And the last one, your numbers, if you notice, they're going 3, 6, 12, 24. They're going up, so I can either add or multiply. Let's see. 3 plus 3 gives me 6. 6 plus 3 gives me 9, and I have 12, so that is not going to work, not adding 3. All right, the other option was to multiply. What am I going to multiply? Well, 3 times 2 gives me 6. 6 times 2 gives me 12. 12 times 2 gives me 24, and 24 times 2 gives me 48. So this one is exponential because I'm multiplying by 2. And that's all we are doing for today. We're going to move on to the next notes maybe tomorrow in 2 days.